Stardew Valley blew up thanks in part to its ability to accommodate a wide range of different playstyles. Want to go through your days leisurely greeting the townsfolk and foraging for herbs here and there? You can do that. Or you can run a full-on farming empire. This past year, Stardew Valley incorporated a multiplayer game mode, allowing up to 4 friends to play together in the same game world. Just hope you don't all want to marry the same villager. Hi, I'm Jacob with the Leaderboard, and here are 8 of the people that you might meet in Stardew Valley. The romantic. Since Stardew Valley lets you court and eventually marry the single guys and gals in Pelican Town, it's easy to get caught up in winning the affection of one of the surprisingly rich characters that make up the town's pool of eligible bachelors and bachelorettes. For the romantic, this is everything. Not only is courting their character of choice their main goal, but even after marriage, they aim to raise healthy, happy children and keep their spouse happy, which takes more work than simply courting them. If one of your friends turns out to be a romantic, it can be fine, if you're okay with doing all of the farming work, because while they're busy spending all of their time farming diamonds to give Penny, all of the other farming duties will probably fall to you, the third wheel. While dating in Stardew Valley can be done casually while playing through the game on your own, it's sort of a get out what you put in type of mechanic. Each character has their own favorite gifts, so if raising a character's friendship meter high enough to give them a bouquet, the sign of making a relationship official in the Stardew Valley universe as fast as you possibly can is your goal, you're gonna want to spend the days you haven't hit the 2 gift a week limit making sure that you're farming your character of choice's favorite items. Win enough of a character's affection and you get some nice cutscenes with them too. If that's your playstyle of choice too, then that's probably all well and good, as long as you and your fellow romantic aren't going after the same person. Villagers can only marry once, so you better hope you get Emily's camping cutscene before the other romantic in your game if you share the same ideal spouse. Players also have the option to marry each other in multiplayer mode, so if your idea of an in-game success is to marry one of your in-game friends, just make sure you're more charming than all of the virtual characters that were kinda designed to be as charming as possible. Except Haley. Haley is the worst. All that's required for marriage in multiplayer is crafting a wedding ring, so the dating part, in-game or out of game, is totally up to you and your friend or partner. At the yearly flower dance, you can in fact dance with another player, so in-game dates are totally a possibility. Me though, I'm sticking with the artist Leah, who deserves the best and far more than her one-room cottage. Take this stupid goat cheese and move into my mansion with me. The farmer. Whether they've carried over their skills from games like Harvest Moon or Farming Simulator 18, the farmer likes to, farm. Stardew Valley is a farming game after all, and to the farmer, that's the best part of the game. If you're serious about in-game success, you probably want a farmer or two as part of your group since a lucrative farm takes time to build. But once in place, it can bring in lots of money that you can use to advance more quickly through the game. The true hardcore farmers know just which crops to grow during which seasons, which crops are the most lucrative, and how much time is left in the season, making sure to produce an optimal harvest before summer turns to fall and all of the crops wither up. They're also good at using sprinklers, which makes farming a whole lot easier. If you're not a farmer yourself, it's pretty easy to support your farmer teammate by watering crops or finding valuable items in the meantime to sell for gold that can feed their farming habit. Or if farming is your thing too, you and your farmer friends can revel in the inevitably huge farm you're going to have. To the farmer, an empty patch of soil is just the potential for another potato or melon, and there are lots of empty patches of soil on your farm. If your playstyle involves anything stamina intensive, growing crops that can replenish your stamina are a plus too. You'll never go hungry when there's a farmer on your side. The crafter. If at a certain point you feel that your squad's farm has outgrown simply harvesting crops, that's when it's time for the crafter to shine. The crafter is less invested in making their bounty from fruits and vegetables and is more interested in the craftable equipment that can be used to turn farmed and gathered items into various artisan goods, which generally sell for more money than any other kind of item in the game. Simply put, the crafter is your squad's major moneymaker. The most serious crafters will turn their farms into full-on industrial production facilities, and that is not an exaggeration. The experienced crafter can turn their farm into a fully functioning brewery, and I'm not just talking about a few beers every couple of days for your buddies while you watch the game and ignore your spouses, but like a good 30 or 40 every day. With a crafter in your squad, your farm will end up with more money than you'll even know what to do with, and since funds are shared collectively in multiplayer mode, a solid crafter can be extremely useful. Industrializing your farm does take lots of time and energy though, so make sure you know what you're diving into before you team up with a crafter so that you're not spending all of this time working thinking of all of the ore and corn that you're not farming. Now that I think about it, it would be pretty cool if our farm had a dedicated building for honey, but do we have enough maple syrup? One second, I have an important phone call to make with a friend. Eric, get Canada on the line, I have a business proposition. The Adventurer. The Adventurer will spend most of their playtime in one of the game's 3 dungeons, which are there for 2 things: mining ore and rare gems and fighting monsters. To the Adventurer, gold and jewels take a backseat to blowing up monsters with swords and strategically placed bombs. Don't team up with an Adventurer unless you've got a good enough weapon. While this nets some items only available through human on monster monster combat, the true reward for the adventurer is in the risk. While the mines end at level 120, accessible in more or less the middle of the game, the Skull Cavern introduces a significant difficulty spike and a potentially endless descent. For the adventurer, this is a game-defining challenge, so watch out. The adventurer on your squad may be driven by an obsession with no definite end, putting them kinda out of the picture when it comes to keeping the pumpkins watered. Adventurers match up best with other adventurers, especially when going to some of the dungeons that come along later in the game. You know, teamwork and all that noise. Having an adventurer on your team can be a great way to acquire monster parts and some mining ore that they might have picked up on their way. However, if they start suddenly getting a little jaded and world-weary, they might be spending a little too much time with Marlin. The Philanderer. Carefully courting a villager and gifting them their favorite things isn't the only way to make use of the romance system in Stardew Valley. The Philanderer wants one thing out of their relationships with the townspeople: chaos. Whether they simply want to fully explore the game's mechanics or have some real-world issues they need to work through, the Philanderer's goal is to date as many of the villagers at once as possible. While the game doesn't prevent you from having multiple partners, dating all of the game's guys and gals at once will earn you a cutscene where you're cornered by everyone at once and lose all progress that you've made with them, naturally. If you want to see that cutscene for yourself, or just the chaos that ensues from keeping up multiple relationships, you know, without the risk of ruining your real life, the Philanderer on your team can take you there without having to put the work in yourself. I mean, seeking chaos above all else can be pretty fun. Of course, it might be awkward when you run into your spouse of choice knowing that they're being played by your friend and farm mate Abigail. What are you doing with them? They'll only hurt you. Fortunately, relationship levels with villagers are not shared between players, so the Philanderer on your team won't ruin your chances of dating the moody Sebastian, but it probably does mean that they're not exactly concerned with advancing through the game in the traditional sense, meaning that all of your hard work raising crops and accumulating cash will be going in part towards the Philanderer's hijinks. Does that make you an enabler? Yes, absolutely, yes. Now that Stardew is out on Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation, you can get your fix on your favorite console. The Leaderboard gives out a console every week, so be sure to enter our console giveaway by going to leaderboard.nyc/giveaway, and you could log in with virtually any internet account. For your best chance to win, you're going to want to subscribe to the Leaderboard on YouTube and sign up for our email updates. You can also follow us on social media and tell your friends about the giveaway for even more chances to win. Now back to your odd friends in Stardew. The Collector. The Collector plays with one rule and one rule only in mind. One of everything. This is a sort of general piece of advice given to new players, given that any old item will inevitably have its use at some point or another. When the day's bulletin board quest calls for a parsnip, just ask the Collector in your group, who will have one already stashed away in one of the 800 storage chests they built. Due to the nature of keeping their stash full of as many items in the game as they have access to, the Collector is a jack of all trades and master of none. They'll probably be able to catch you the fish you want, for example, but their fishing skill won't be as advanced as a member of your squad focused mainly on fishing. A Collector can cover for your 4-person group's weak points, but will probably be looking to a more experienced miner for iridium ore rather than adventuring out into the Skull Cavern themselves. Since having a player focused on hanging on to at least one of every item in the game can come in handy, the teamwork needed to support a Collector's habit is a small price to pay for the day where you need a battery pack, and lo and behold, the Collector already has one ready for you to use in their categorization system that only makes sense to them. It's all thanks to their foresight, or obsession, depending on how you want to look at it. The Perfectionist. The Perfectionist's farm is a sight to see. For the Perfectionist, utility is equally as important as aesthetics. Not only does their part of the farm have color-coded storage chests and sheds organized by the items produced by the different kinds of equipment within, but they're organized in neat grids with roads and strategically placed plants and trees. Once they've gotten rolling, your farm will be a sight to see. When adding something new to your farm, you should probably consult the Perfectionist on your team first, because even an out-of-place patch of tilled dirt can get in the way of the Perfectionist's vision. Their vision, of course, which inevitably involves every inch of the shared farm and has probably been planned out in advance on a dedicated farm planning app. I'm not a farmer. Do those exist? I'm gonna assume those exist. Since the Perfectionist must put in the time and effort to make their plans work, if you're not a Perfectionist too, you're probably gonna be taking a backseat to their grand plan. So go ahead and spend your time pursuing one of the villagers or gathering some items here and there to support their vision, because to the Perfectionist, the farm is their art, and you're merely a brushstroke on their Mona Lisa. The Troll. Okay, so remember the light and dark side system from Knights of the Old Republic? Though the Force unfortunately isn't in Stardew Valley, the game does have systems in place that let you be good or evil, just like in the Star Wars classic. Depending on your tolerance for in-game evil, the Troll can either be the most fun member of your squad or a virtual nightmare. The Troll's main goal while playing through the game is to do as many evil things as the game will let them. Want to piss off somebody in your town? You can give them a gift they hate, and the Troll will do just that. The other people in town will even tip you off as to what gifts their fellow villagers truly despise, giving the troll fodder in their quest to be as evil as possible, within the confines of the game, of course. Or maybe in real life too, I don't know how trolls work. This is another case where one player's bad behavior won't affect other players' gameplay, so you can remain on the path to help Leah with her art even if the troll in your game keeps gifting her pancakes. And also, she might be the only person, real or virtual, who hates pancakes. This is like the one rift in our relationship. The game also offers up to players a significant choice to either rebuild the town's community center or buy a membership at Joja Mart, thereby giving the dystopian Joja Corporation enough funds to convert the community center into a warehouse. There's clearly one righteous choice and one evil choice, and the troll lives for the freedom to do the thing that makes the virtual villagers' lives a little bit harder, pretty much just because they can. This decision falls to a group consensus, so if you want to rebuild the community center, hope that the troll on your team isn't persuasive enough to subject your fellow villagers to corporate rule forever. Unless your morality lines exactly with the trolls, this might be someone you want to stop inviting to your Stardew Valley gaming sessions. Thanks to the openness of Stardew Valley's design, these and other kinds of players can all find equally valid, sometimes entirely different ways to approach the game. With the addition of multiplayer, all of these different playstyles have the potential to help or hinder a playthrough, strengthening or, in the worst cases, ruining friendships. Or, you know, either, because it's just a quaint, peaceful farming game and not a formal declaration of war like Mario Party or Mario Kart or any multiplayer game with Mario in it. Anyway, what's your Stardew Valley squad like? Anyone we mentioned, or are you or your friends a type of player that we totally missed? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to click the bell icon to become part of our notification squad. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the Leaderboard, your home for video game facts.